Carol Burnett is a legend in American entertainment. With her pioneering work in television, particularly her iconic variety program, The Carol Burnett Show, she helped define a golden era of comedy. Her sketches remain timeless, and her style has influenced generations of performers. Yet, for all the joy and laughter she brought to millions, there is one episode from 1977 that she cannot bring herself to watch. This emotional decision speaks volumes not just about the episode itself, but about Burnett's humanity, vulnerability, and the deep personal connections that shaped her professional world. The heart behind the comedy by 1977, The Carol Burnett Show had already become a beloved television staple. Running from 1967 to 1978, the show was renowned for its sharp writing, incredible ensemble cast including Harvey Korman, Tim Conway, and Vicki Lawrence, and Carol's masterful balance of humor and heart. Whether parodying movies, delivering musical performances, or portraying relatable characters, Burnett brought sincerity and intelligence to every sketch. As the 11th season began to air in 1977, the show was both at the height of its creative output and nearing the end of its run. Burnett had begun contemplating the show's future and her own next chapter. While the episodes that year were still as funny and well-crafted as ever, behind the scenes, emotional shifts were underway. Among the season's many episodes, one stood out, though not necessarily for its content. It would become unforgettable for Carol Burnett because of who joined her on stage and the context surrounding the filming. A special guest. A painful memory in 1977, the show welcomed many recurring and guest stars. One particularly memorable guest was Rock Hudson, the iconic actor known for his roles in romantic dramas and comedies of the 1950s and 60s. Hudson and Burnett had been friends for years, and their chemistry on camera was palpable. Viewers loved watching two classic Hollywood figures joke, sing, and perform sketches together. However, what most viewers did not know at the time, and what even Burnett may have only sensed, was that Hudson was beginning to face the very early symptoms of what would later be revealed as AIDS. In a time when the illness was little understood and publicly stigmatized, Hudson kept his diagnosis private. Carol, always emotionally perceptive, may not have known the specifics but later admitted that something about that episode stuck with her. It became a painful emotional bookmark in her life. Watching it back, she said, was simply too much. It wasn't about the quality of the comedy or the performances. The episode was as polished as any, featuring brilliant timing, playful sketches, and joyful music. But for Carol Burnett, the experience was colored by hindsight. Knowing what came later, Hudson's struggle with illness, the secrecy he endured, and his passing in 1985 reframed the memory of that show. What had been a celebration of their friendship now carried the heavy weight of impending loss. Art, memory, and emotion. Carol Burnett has never shied away from emotion in her work. Her comedic persona has always contained an undercurrent of sincerity. That's part of what made her characters so compelling. They weren't just funny, they were real. Whether playing the over-the-top Eunice in the family sketches or delivering touching monologues, she knew how to access real feeling. It makes sense that one particular episode would become too painful for her to revisit, not because of what happened on screen, but because of what was happening in her heart. The mind has a curious way of linking experiences. A smell, a song, or a TV episode can carry not just memories but full emotional landscapes. For Burnett, watching that 1977 episode isn't simply seeing herself in costume again. It's reliving a moment frozen in time when a dear friend was smiling and performing with her, even as a silent storm was forming just out of frame. Professionalism versus personal grief. It's important to understand that this wasn't a matter of professional embarrassment. Burnett has been candid and proud of the work her team did in the final season of The Carol Burnett Show. The show remained creatively strong, and many fans continue to treasure the last episodes. In fact, Carol has often spoken with pride about her cast and crew's ability to keep the show fresh and funny even after a decade on air. But some things go beyond show business. Some moments, no matter how well executed, touch something deeper. This episode, more than any other, was one of those. Carol's refusal to rewatch it isn't a rejection of the show, it's an act of love. It's a recognition that this episode, more than being a piece of television, is a deeply personal snapshot of a relationship, a goodbye she didn't know was happening at the time. A ton of transition. The year 1977 marked a moment of reflection. and transition for Burnett. While the show continued to earn accolades and viewer loyalty, Carol was beginning to think about her next steps. She knew the show couldn't go on forever, and after 11 seasons, she was starting to imagine a life beyond weekly variety television. Saying goodbye to the show was a hard decision, but ultimately a fulfilling one. She chose to end it on her own terms, maintaining the high standards that had defined it from the beginning. But endings come in layers. The end of the show, the changing times in television, and the health of her friends and colleagues all contributed to the emotional weight of that season. It's no coincidence that this episode became the one she cannot rewatch. It wasn't just a piece of TV history. It was, in some ways, the symbolic end of an era for her, both professionally and personally. The power of one-episode television is often seen as disposable. Episodes come and go. One sketch blends into the next. But sometimes a single episode becomes something else entirely. It becomes a memory, a tribute, a frozen echo of a moment that can never be repeated. For fans, the episode in question might simply be entertaining, a funny moment in a beloved show. But for Burnett, it has taken on a meaning too layered and too painful to experience again. What makes this even more poignant is the contrast between what the audience sees and what Burnett feels. While they might watch and laugh, she sees a friend now gone, a friendship caught in amber, and a performance laced with unspoken goodbyes. Grief behind the laughter. This situation is a powerful reminder that even those who make us laugh carry their own grief. Carol Burnett has made a career out of joy, out of helping people forget their troubles for a little while. But she, like anyone, has moments of sorrow. The fact that this sorrow is tied to a particular episode gives it a unique kind of intimacy. In refusing to watch it, Burnett isn't hiding from her feelings. On the contrary, she is honoring them. She is saying that some memories are too sacred for replay. Some goodbyes don't need to be seen again to be remembered. A testament to friendship. Ultimately, Burnett's choice speaks volumes about the kind of person she is. Her unwillingness to revisit that episode isn't a mark of weakness or regret. It's a testament to the depth of her friendship with Rock Hudson and the emotional truth of her work. Even decades later, she carries that connection with her. And while fans may always enjoy that episode, perhaps now they will do so with greater appreciation for the invisible emotional threads running beneath it. Conclusion: laughter and loss. Carol Burnett's refusal to watch one episode from 1977 isn't about ego or perfectionism. It's about love, grief, and memory. That episode, once just another installment in a long-running show, has become something far more personal. It represents a moment in time when joy and sorrow coexisted, when the future was uncertain, and when a friend was still smiling beside her. In her long and illustrious career, Burnett has given the world countless reasons to smile, but behind the stage lights and applause is a woman of depth, warmth, and compassion, someone who understands that not all moments are meant to be relived, and in that, perhaps, lies her greatest strength of all.